Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So it's been kind of a little while since I recorded a video about life as a mum and with a newborn. Flora is now 2 months old, and the kind of reason there's been a slight gap is because I have been having a bit of a hard time, shall we say. My second baby was just so chilled and relaxed that I think I just expected my third baby to be exactly the same, and it's not been like that at all. I've been facing real challenges with just endless crying, just crying, having to hold the baby a lot, and sometimes evenings of just screaming and daytime crying, and it just going on for hours and hours and not being able to do anything about it. I have found it a challenge, but I have also coped, and I think one of the main reasons is it's my third baby, and so I know not to really put a lot of stress or pressure on myself. But I think that if a lot of women are going through this for the first time with their first baby, it can be a massive shock to the system and not what you expected at all. So I wanted to put this video together to share my top tips on how to cope with a baby that constantly screams and cries, and just basically how you can deal with that and how you can handle that in the best possible way. For most of this video, I'm not going to be able to tell you how to stop them crying or what the reason is, but I hope to just be able to share a few things that might help you to feel a bit more positive and a bit more calm about the situation. My first tip would be to step away from the baby and get yourself calm. So sometimes when Flora is just screaming, it can be relentless, it can be draining, it can go on for hours. Sometimes she'll do 3 hours of screaming and crying, and I won't know what the problem is until at the end of the 3 hours she does a massive projectile puke, and then I realise that, okay, she's been feeling sick for 3 hours. But having a baby cry for that period of time can get you really wound up, really worked up, frustrated, tense, snappy, angry, and you don't want to be dealing with your baby when you're feeling like that. So the first thing I would say to do is just to put your baby down and take a step back, go out the room. So put them somewhere safe, put them down in the cot with nothing in the cot, and just go and take a breather. Last week when I was finding it really super tough, she just would not stop crying on an evening, and I just didn't know what to do. And I was really starting to feel the pressure, really starting to feel frustrated and just annoyed and agitated that I just couldn't make it stop. So I put her down in her cot. I went outside into the garden. My husband was in the house, so I wasn't totally alone. He had tried to comfort her as well, and she was screaming and crying, but I just needed a break from the sound so that I could reapproach the situation with a clear head. So I put her down and I went outside into the garden where I couldn't hear her, and I took some really nice deep breaths. I let out a few tears. Just do whatever you need to do and get yourself back to that place of calm, and then when you're ready, go back into the house or go back into the room where your baby is and pick them back up, and you'll feel so much better for having done that, and you'll feel a lot more patient and a lot more calm. My second tip, as I mentioned briefly there, my partner, my husband was there. Always ask for help. Don't feel like you need to tackle this by yourself. Obviously it's difficult in the day because a lot of the time in the day we're by ourselves, and your partner or your husband might be at work, or like me, you may not have any family nearby. But when you do in the evening, you know, if you've had to listen to crying all day long, and I understand that men may have been at work and, you know, they're tired and stressed themselves from their day, but just ask for a break. And if you cannot hold this baby any longer because they're crying so much, ask your partner to take over, see if they can have a little go to try and comfort baby, just to give you a rest. And that's another kind of form of stepping away from baby and taking a bit of a breather so that you can reapproach the situation. Obviously it goes without saying, and I'm sure you've done this, but just to check absolutely everything with your baby. Check their nappy, check if they're hungry, make sure you've winded them. Sometimes winding can take a really long time. If they've really got something that's trapped, it can make them scream for hours, like Flora did the other day for 3 hours until eventually she vomited. So really try and keep baby up as long as possible. Try and wind them. It can take a really long time if they've got one really stuck. Do things like bicycle legs with their legs to try and help their tummy with wind perhaps. just try and do everything first, and you'll feel better knowing that you have tried everything before you kind of take a breather and kind of get your head clear and reassess the situation. Another tip I really recommend is go out the house. Take your baby out. I don't know why, but whenever I take any of my children out, they always behave so much better when they are out the house, and that goes for babies. My baby, this baby, all my babies never seem to cry when I take them out. So if it's getting too much at home and they just will not stop crying, put them in the pram, go for a walk. Put them in the car, go for a drive. Flora always goes to sleep in the car seat, or she'll go to sleep in her pram out on a walk. Even baby just having a change of scenery can make a whole difference. I don't know what it is, but something about just being out the house and being somewhere different seems to really help. Baby carrying also seems to help. If you've got a sling, pop them in the sling or the carrier just for an hour or so, and even if you're just walking around your house or your garden, and even that can calm them and send them off to sleep. So that's a really good one to do as well. But if you're really struggling, it's really important that you talk to people rather than keeping it all to yourself and struggling. Even to just get it out your system really helps. I put up a post on my social media last week about how I was finding it really hard, and I had so many mums reach out to say that they went through the same. And it is really hard when you have a baby that's constantly unhappy or constantly crying and it's not what you expected, and it can make it really hard to enjoy these really kind of early days of having a baby. But what I really want to say is that as a mum of 3, speaking to someone who's perhaps going through this for the first time, this does not last forever. It doesn't last forever. My first baby was quite a crier. My second one had reflux, but she was super calm, and everything just got better as the months kind of roll by and they get bigger. And even when you move on to weaning at 6 months, everything just gets better and easier. I promise it really does. And you'll have loads of people say to you, it will get easier, I promise. And it just is the truth. So you really do need to just look after yourself and hang in there. Make sure you're making time to eat and drink, which is really hard when they're screaming all the time and you just want to put them down and you just want to eat and drink. But just do it, because you need to feel better in yourself when you're dealing with this kind of situation. If there are any other mums out there who have been through a similar situation with a baby that just constantly cries, please leave your tips below on how other women might be able to cope. That would be greatly appreciated, and I'm sure other mums will love to read those. But thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and I hope to see you on my next video. Take care. Bye bye.